Our next guest is CJ Fraser of Fraser Engineering. Hi.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Good. CJ, why don't you tell us again, for those who didn't hear you the first time you were on the show, what Fraser Engineering does?
Okay. We are a mechanical contractor. So we work for industrial and commercial companies, and we do essentially anything with pipe, and that would be plumbing, heating systems. We also work on the process end of things, so we will do work on the petroleum terminals in town. And then also on the process side, we work for a lot of biotech companies too.
Great. And the company was founded as a family-owned business?
Yes. My grandfather started it in 1950. My father took over in the 70s, and he and my mother sort of grew it into what it is today. And I was lucky enough to take over in 2009, right when the economy decided to take a turn.
And do you have an engineering background? Or
I don't.
You don't?
I don't.
Okay.
No. Architecture is my background, and I really didn't think that I was going to go into the family business until I sort of made that impulsive decision one day in 2003 and said, let me give this a shot, and sort of, worked my way up into taking the business over in 2009.
And how did that transition go from, so now you're the third generation.
Yes.
And, so probably you're more familiar with the transition from second generation to third generation. So how was that experience?
It was challenging.
Sure.
I won't lie. But it was also rewarding in the same sense. When I took over too, times were tough, so difficult decisions had to be made, and I think that was the hardest part when I still had, the family still involved. My father still readily involved in the business, so it was definitely difficult, but it's also rewarding at the same time. So.
Sure. And any advice you have or any lessons learned during that process that other listeners would like to hear, you think?
I think trying to take the emotion out of things is the hardest thing you can do when you're dealing with family, but it's also the most important. And I think for myself, I got myself worked up a lot of times just for the anticipation of having conversations that I knew were going to go sort of probably not so well, but they ended up being fine. So a lot of it was just remembering to be calm and collect and try to think business and not family. I have no idea.
You're an award-winning business as well, right?
Yes.
But you won for Outstanding Woman in a Family Business.
Yes.
Do you want to talk to us a little bit about that?
I was completely shocked and extremely honored to be, honored as that. At times I don't feel like I should be that at all, but it's, I think it's been a traveled, road that has proved to work out so far.
What do you think it was about you that made it so that you were a winner? That was a subset of the Family Business Association, which both Rich and I are on the board of.
Yep.
And he's the treasurer, and I'm one of the co-founders. So, we co-sponsored that event. And what do you think it was that the judges saw in you?
I think that possibly too. We're in construction, and a woman in a construction field. I remember my first meeting. When I was president and getting everyone in there and seeing 70 men before me, and I'm like, I'm up here as a daughter trying to, prove myself that I should be in this position, and sticking through the last, the years that have been really difficult. And, I think it's been my leadership style that's sort of helped, and I'm still defining it, but trying to really find my own personal one other than my father's, who was very different. He was.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think for him, he was the sort of the and this isn't a bad thing. This is
just different.
Right, just different. A traditional sort of entrepreneurial, like I'm in charge. And for me, it was trying to find how I could get people to be accountable, but still sort of on a team. And we do rhythms. We have our daily huddle every single morning.
Right.
At least in the office. We try to do it in the field, but it's not, I don't think, as impactful. And so we have our rhythms that we do, data and priorities. Those are the three main, highlights of it. And so it's been really helpful for me. So I didn't have to be it's a team. We're all a team.